introduce yourself first?
What's up, everybody? My name is Kyle, and I'm the newest member of the team here at Embodied. We'll get into a little more about who I am and about what Embodied is here in a few minutes, but I'm sitting here with Emily, who you all do know very well at this point, and I'm just going to ask her a few questions about the new venture that she's setting out on that I'm fortunate enough to be a part of, and just want to take us back to the very beginning and catch us up to where we are now, and just share some things we're excited about that are on the horizon for both of us, and just what we're excited to bring out to all of you guys. So first things first, we just want to hear the origin story. Just where did all this begin? I'll let you decide
How far back I should go?
Yeah, what the beginning looks like and how much you care to share, and just what kind of birthed this whole venture for you.
I think 2026 was just an odd year for me in general. As you know, just a lot changed in my life. Did a lot of reflection, and in business, we went to Dallas in March, and I was kind of like on the high of that, almost like this is the next thing that's going to take my business to the next level. But at the same time, I felt like there was just like a missing piece, and I feel like I couldn't put my finger on it. Obviously, my passion and what I do, like none of that changes. It's the same concept, like helping women, and specifically around food and finding food freedom and reaching your goals for that. But there was just still something like I couldn't put my finger on until I feel like I kind of hit rock bottom with it, which you're fully aware of.
Before we can get to rock bottom, let's go back to Dallas, because that was the opposite of rock bottom. Right?
Yeah, no, for sure.
That was definitely on a high point for you. So I just want to hear a little bit more about what Dallas was and what the point of that trip was, and some things that you took away from that trip, and the actions you were ready to take coming back, because I do think that was a pretty big catalyst that launched into kind of where we are now. So just take us back to Dallas and what was going on with the business there and the point of that trip. And I think it's going to be helpful to highlight the contrast between where you were then versus where you are now.
I mean, I feel like that was like a year ago, considering how much has changed. The point of the trip was really, I just wanted to make sure that I could maintain the level of business that we had in 2025, which was like our biggest year. Fortunate enough to have a great, successful year 1, 2, and 3, and then year 4 was really a turning point. Basically doubled in business, doubled in client size, hired 2 more people to the team. And so I wanted to make sure that I was able to maintain that type of business well. So that was my whole mission of going to Dallas for that trip. When I came back...
Well, I'm going to cut you off. Who were you meeting with in Dallas?
I met with AR Funnel, which was Mike Rosen and his whole team, which was phenomenal, obviously.
And the point of the trip was?
Systems, automations, making the whole entire business side of it easier for me so that I could be coach or CEO or what have you, because there's obviously a ton of hats that you wear in this business. Came home, I feel like I was still on a high with that, but then my vision did change a little bit as far as constructive criticism on social media and how to show up and how to present myself. And I felt like I was trying to still figure that out for a few months, and I don't know if burnout's the right word. Maybe just more so really just trying to like find where I fit in. I think that was probably it. Like trying to figure out where I fit in. There's so many coaches online, but I don't feel like I'm the typical coach. And it was like, how can I really stand out on what I truly want to do for women? Because obviously like physical progress and even relationship with food is a huge thing, but there's so much more to the picture that I feel like I'm not fully really getting my point across in. social media or just in general with what we're about. And so I think that was probably the rock bottom of like, where the actual hell am I going to take this, or like, how am I going to show up? And I felt lost, which you can attest to. I had a whole entire breakdown in his bathroom of like, I think then was more of, I don't even know if I want to do this type thing, which I've had multiple moments of that, I'll say, in 4.5 years. But this one was just different because it was like, why would you think, why are you questioning this when you had your greatest year last year? I guess I just wasn't expecting to have it this year, maybe. So then that was on like a Friday.
Felt like a Monday, we'll call it a Friday.
It was on a Friday, right? Yeah.
Sounds right.
So that was on a Friday, and I was pretty much like a zombie that whole day, I think. Like numb, lost, terrified, not really knowing what I wanted to do with my life.
Feeling pretty defeated.
Oh, 100% defeated. Then Saturday morning, the next Saturday, I woke up and was like, I got it. We're going to rebrand, and I'm going to call it Embodied, and it's going to be more about, out of the 350 plus women that I've been able to be involved with in their life, the thing I kept trying to think of, like, why we stand out, how we stand out, what is happening in these individuals' lives. And I kept coming back to the word identity. And it was like, they are a completely different human being when they leave this program than when they first started with us. Sure, physical progress happens, but there's so much more to the picture of not only becoming just stronger and them finding confidence in that journey, but being able to be present at their child's birthday party and enjoying cake and pizza without feeling guilty or being like ate up in their mind for that whole entire day and missing the important part, or feeling comfortable enough to get undressed in front of their husband. Like, confidence in every single area that leaks into every other area of your life. So completely new identity. So that's where we came with Embodied. Can I continue to expand on that?
Well, so just kind of a recap,
Yeah.
right?
Okay.
Starting in January, heading into your 5th year of business, you've only experienced growth
Sure.
up to that point. 2025, a point of explosion in the business, right? Like, honestly, things couldn't
have been better. Yeah.
So you're planning this trip to meet with kind of an advisory team in Dallas to just crack your books, look at your numbers, evaluate the business.
Hella vulnerable.
Look at all your funnels, all your strategies, how you go to market. And honestly, they were kind of mind blown when they looked at your books, right?
How scared was I on a level?
I remember being very nervous if they're about to just like
rip me apart,
destroy everything I've built and tell me I'm doing it all wrong. And it was quite the opposite of like, they leaned in and said, you're doing something different and special and successful, and outside of these kind of few tweaks or modifications or adjustments, or maybe like homing in a little bit more into your niche in this way, or maybe focusing on this rather than that, there wasn't really any major like criticism there, right? So you come back home with kind of a renewed vision and like sense of direction, and you wanted to get more like distance between yourself and like the day-to-day grind.
True.
And you wanted to move into more of like an owner-operator of a business. And we're talking about expanding and hiring and scaling and letting you kind of sit in that CEO seat as opposed to a coach's seat. And you had a lot of confidence in that. And shifted the way that you showed up on social media. It shifted the way that you approached the business. It modified how you interacted with clients and just your entire growth strategy. And to your point, there was a bit of an identity question that just brought things to a pretty screeching halt. Hence the bathroom crash outs.
Yeah.
And hence the week of fogginess and what am I doing here? And that led you into that just kind of moment of clarity of, well, I'm not the same human, coach, woman, mom that I was 4.5 years ago, but here I am trying to run this business in the same way that I have been, even though I've evolved and I've changed and I've grown. And you just felt, I think, a little stagnant of, I think bored is even a word, unfulfilled, and just you in your own life had stepped into something new, as you've grown personally, and the reflection of that in the business was lagging.
Mm-hmm.
So I felt like there was this massive now disconnect between who you were as a person and who you were as a business owner. But these two things are very interconnected and intertwined and woven together. And the fact that so much of this business is reflective of your own journey and your own story and your own growth and development, that the detachment between those two, the chasm there, was just overwhelming. Okay, so that gets us to the point of the thought of a rebrand and the need for something kind of brand new, albeit this was 27 days ago. So kind of walk us through what's been going on behind the scenes from that Saturday morning kind of epiphany, moment of clarity, up to now of us, sitting here
doing the damn thing.
Recording a podcast and doing the damn thing.
A lot of behind the scenes, obviously. So I guess to start was more, what exactly do I want this to look like? I think that allowed me to basically start at ground zero, rather than the first few years. It was always just kind of building on top of what already exists. This has been a chance of me to kind of all right, we are literally starting from ground zero. Let's build one brick at a time, exactly what I think this should look like now that I am 4.5 years into coaching and having this business, with the experience of that, trying to figure out, the systems and the funnels and all the behind the scenes business things that nobody thinks about, which has been really fun. It's my favorite. But yeah, I wanted it to be better. And I feel like I've said that, I've always wanted the business to be better every single year. I'll even kind of go to the extreme of, I was so new into coaching that I was more like a puppet in whoever I hired as a mentor or business coach, that it was more of yes, I'm doing exactly that because they're the millionaires. They're the ones who have 7-figure businesses, so they obviously know how to do this.
I need to just copy and paste their model and their success, and sure, that will transfer to me.
And obviously, sure, took a ton of gold from those things, obviously. But this allowed me to really just evaluate, okay, now that I know all these things and kind of know how this works and I feel comfortable, I think it was really a point of me having to be comfortable and confident in what I bring to the table, the business I've been able to build and create, the women's lives that I've been in touch with. Now I'm able to kind of take the two and mesh those together. So I think that was the fun part for me, my creativity, the old hairstylist gene in me of wanting to create, and be able to really, honestly, do whatever the hell I wanted to do with it. which has come with a lot of new things. I only ever had that one offer. Like, this is the package you get. If you can't do this, don't want to do this, like,
I'm not your person.
Not your coach. And that was something that felt a little, I wouldn't say icky, but
rigid.
Yeah. So now I'm kind of like, okay, yeah, like we'll have this, but we'll also have some different tiers and different levels of value that we can still add to your life so that we can still guide you, meet you where you're at, which I'm big on as the one-on-one coach. Like, we meet you where you're at in your fitness journey, but under these circumstances to be your coach more so. So really excited about the different packages that we have. And I think it's just going to allow a lot more women to be able to be involved and still benefit from, depending on where they're at in their journey in life, right? Like, whether it's season of craziness in their life, just needing help in one area, nutrition, workouts, schedule, financially. I think just a lot of different avenues we're able to take with that. So I'm really excited about that part. And I've already kind of pitched it behind the scenes to a few, and we do have a few people already on these bundles. So I'm excited.
So the picture I'm kind of getting in my mind is, from the ground up, you built this house. And things were good. Like, nothing wrong.
Yeah.
Inherently, no big warning signs of this isn't it, this is going to fail, this is going to fizzle out. But then, kind of little by little, until one day you came back home and said, like, this isn't it. And you've kind of ripped it back down to the studs, and you're going to rebuild. So what does the vision for the new house look like?
I think really like the home. The most fulfilling part for me, I would say, in coaching is the client wins when they are telling me how much better they're able to show up for their kids, their significant other, at work. Again, coming back to that identity. So then we're going to kind of capitalize on that with being able to add in, hey, well, what about your man? Let's kind of get the whole entire house in here on this. Insert KB. But again, more than fitness nutrition, prioritizing them as a couple and being able to really benefit off of each other, because when two people are on the same journey, obviously it does make it easier for each. And we're kind of just like, trying to change the whole world. No big task, but I think it comes down to that. And don't let me bring our relationship into this.
Well, I mean,
I will.
Speaking
I was
to that,
going to.
Yeah.
To cut you off.
No. I mean, speaking of that.
Wait, can I insert?
You can insert.
Okay. Obviously, I've been an independent woman. I don't think that's news to literally anyone that has followed me for more than 2 days. And I've been able to do it, just as you said. Like, I've been able to build this incredible business and help change women's lives. But yeah, how much better and more confident I've been able to be since 7 months ago when you entered. Like, having a solid man, having a solid woman in your life absolutely allows you to bring more to the table, because you do have that person behind you, not just in confidence, but like when they believe in you and that you can do this. Your favorite line in the entire universe, win yourselves. But it's true. And so I think, like, again, bring that to the table for women and men in their fitness journey. And just great. create some power couples, no big deal.
Yeah, I mean, with that, my like professional background is not in the health and fitness world. Kind of just a guy with like normal job. You know, prior to us being together, was a single dad, and a lot comes with that in terms of things that compete for time, energy, attention. Health and fitness were still always like a priority for me and kind of an anchor for me that helped keep me grounded, like in reality, and let me have this thing that I could use to prioritize myself. Otherwise, you've got career, child, family, life, any other thing that just robs you of the ability to take care of yourself, right? And think of the analogy of when you're flying and they tell you about the oxygen masks of, hey, when this thing drops down, you take care of yourself first, because if you're not taken care of, you're of no use to those around you, you know? So the gym has always kind of been that oxygen mask for me, and I want my child and my family and my friends and the world around me that I like to think needs me around, needs the best version of me that I can be. So I owe it to them and to myself to just be a good steward of my body and my mind and the resources that I have to offer. So I did explore, you know, coaching at one point and was finding like some success kind of getting the plane in the air and worked with a few clients. Like, it was going well, but just, you know, it's not an excuse, but as a context, lifed pretty hard for a couple of years. And kind of that dream, vision, kind of what I would have wanted to do with my life got tabled kind of indefinitely of just, I'll try to pick it back up at some point. Not the passion for fitness and health and, you know, mental regulation and learning more about the nervous system and how all those things are interconnected. That didn't go away. Just the ability to try and morph that into a career where I could help other people do the same thing got put on the back burner again until about 7 months ago. And we did kind of jump right into, oh my God, you know, how do we do this? I'm all in. What's my role? What does this look like? How do I actually bring value to this thing? And it becomes you and I doing it together and not you just kind of giving me, you know, meaningless tasks or things here and there that make me feel like I'm doing something when in reality, you know, I'm not really part of what you're doing here. And another thing that we say quite a bit is that like nothing is wasted. And we can now look back in hindsight at how I think there have been a lot of things happening in the background, and another like word picture that just helps me make sense of life sometimes is it's like we're building this puzzle and there are certain pieces that make a lot of sense, right? Like pull out a corner piece of like, okay, that goes over here, and I've got some blue pieces here and some red pieces there. I know these all go together, and I can start to see it kind of coming together. And then there's this one piece that comes out and you're like, what the hell is this? And just like, that's out of the wrong box. Somebody messed that up. It doesn't belong here at all. So you just discard it. And at just the right time, when you're looking for the missing piece, like lo and behold, there it was the whole time. And those are usually the things that hurt us or scare us or intimidate us, or they just, again, aren't part of the script or part of the plan or the way we would have like drawn it up. And again, nothing is wasted. It was meant to go in the place that it ended up going, right when it ended up going there for those purposes. And the way that our stories and lives and pasts and wins and losses and joys and pains have all just converged in a short period of time that have allowed us to now launch this thing has been kind of mind-blowing. And
Surreal.
while it makes you like scratch your head sometimes, there's also just so much certainty and like unwavering faith, like, yes, I have stepped into exactly what was created for me.
How could we not?
How could we not? So with that, I'll let you kind of jump in a little bit. You talked about the relational side of kind of twofold. One, we weren't really sure how to create space for me in the business as it existed, right? You already had this very successful, fleshed out, fully operating business, and it's like, oh, ooh, we'll figure something out, I guess. But there wasn't this like clearly defined need
He wasn't cool with being a stay-at-home dad.
that I could meet.
AKA.
I was not cool being a stay-at-home dad. But at the same time, you always knew there was an opportunity within your business to include men.
Sure. And I think that came from...
Not even from a missing like marketing piece or revenue piece, truly from, gosh,
Being
there are all these
asked.
women I'm working with who like either one, like ask if my husband is interested, my boyfriend is interested, do you do this? Or I think even more so hearing, I wish that there was something like this for my boyfriend, my husband, my partner, because it's really hard to do this on my own, and it's hard to explain why I'm doing this. I'm not feeling as supported as I would like to be. There's some tension around like what meals look like and what carving out time for a gym schedule looks like. So there's just this kind of natural tension when one party is bought in and one is not. And even if they are supportive, there's eventually going to be like friction at some point. And I think you were hearing that story like over and over and over and over again, but there wasn't this clear path of how to help in that way. Because again, your niche and your passion, your drive has forever been women. That's
Sure.
not changing. It's expanding. I'll let you speak on that. But it's really become clear to us of how we can bring value to like, an entire household, like the dynamic of an entire couple, and how they can both feel empowered and embodied. So I'd love to hear you speak a little bit more about, again, maybe reframing the vision for that I was just speaking on from your perspective, and then just what we think that looks like and why we think it's valuable. And to your earlier point, you are not the run-of-the-mill common Me Too online coach. What you bring to the table is very different and is very specific and is much more comprehensive and holistic, where fitness and nutrition are cogs in the wheel, but they're not the entire wheel themselves. They're part of the equation. And I think that, again, this rebrand and some of the other things that it includes identify some more cogs in that wheel and how we're stepping into that space a little more completely.
Yeah, to kind of go off script a little bit as far as the first question you asked, in like how we stand out, sure, I help women lose weight, but that's all people see. And anyone can do that. Any coach can do that. obviously sustainability has always been the biggest factor. Relationship with food, as those truly do go hand in hand. I forgot where I was going with that. I'm talking about guacamole.
She went off script.
I know, that's what I get.
My questions were, again, I'd love to hear you like kind of reframe the vision around including men.
Yeah.
Like, from your perspective.
Yeah.
Like male, female perspective, and again, also just how we are now incorporating more of these other factors that contribute to just someone's overall health that go well beyond the physical or the relationship with food, because again, there's so many other buckets that have to be poured into if you want to be
a new person
and a healthy person and the person that
a changed life
they want to be and deserve to be, right?
Like diets, you're not getting a changed life. You're getting until the next thing comes out, the next best thing comes out. Yeah, obviously, as you touched on, have been asked for the whole 4 years, like, could you help my husband, boyfriend, whatever. And I just didn't feel comfortable just in that dynamic, I think, for one. And then secondly, of just like having the confidence, as women and men are completely different. But even last year with one of my mentors, I even asked him, pretty sure it was Travis, asked him, do you think this is like an uncharted territory that I should tap into? And this was before you even existed in my life. But I was almost like, okay, maybe I need to try, but let me again ask my mentor. And he even said, like, I think with where you're at now, like, you would be better off specifically working with women, which I was kind of relieved, I think, even though, again, it was just still like a tab open in my mind. And I do think that takes a male figure to really do the work that I would want to be involved in, the type of business that I run, with how I help women. I would like it to be the same with men. And so I think with like our conversations, probably like second conversation we had, I was already like, interesting you're stepping into my life right now. But a little, like, to piggyback off of what I said earlier, I think you have helped me see like a man lead, and when a man is able to do that in all areas, it does help the woman. So yeah, of course that benefits my clients when their spouse or significant other is on that same page. Like you said, less friction in the household. You understand not only like boundaries outside of your family, prioritizing time for yourself, and kind of tag teaming, whether that's meal prep or dinner. So yeah, I think it's always been a tab open, just when I didn't feel confident in leading myself, if you will. I just want to take a special person, because this obviously has been my baby for 4.5 years, and I do feel like I've done it differently than most, which is something I've been proud of. And that takes a special person to step into and truly understand the whole concept. Like, okay, you can give a dude macros or throw some workouts together for him. Cool. Like, we're way past that. Like, we provide so much more. Can you change his life? And then you stepped in. And I was like, yeah. Throw this man on a podcast.
Don't show his face, but you can hear his voice.
Shut up.
When I think to your point, and without getting like too deep in the weeds, you have in your past experienced what a lack of support feels like. And even though it bred a lot of hyper independence from a lack of other choices, right? Like what's the alternative? And while that did breed so much strength and resilience and in a weird way, I'll say in a sad way, allowed you to build what you built because there wasn't someone you could rely on.
Mm.
And I'm not saying that I'm like the end all be all by any means, but
But kinda.
I will say that I'm your biggest fan, like unashamedly, undoubtedly. Like I will cheerlead to the end of the earth. And if that's all I bring to the table, I think you've experienced the crazy difference between those two places of what you do when you don't have a support system or a safety net or someone to lean into versus what you can do when you have all those things. And there's an old saying or proverb, whatever you want to call it, that says, if you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together. And I think that we're now seeing just how far you can go together when it's with the right person.
Don't make me emotional. I will say that I even said that Friday, Saturday, like crash out Friday to Saturday, like we're doing something totally different. I think it was like a week or two later, I even told you, well, you made the comment. You literally like flipped the script within 24 hours. Like you were just being your typical self and like being sweet and supportive and complimentary and all the things. And I think my first initial thought was like, well, yeah, because I've never had the choice. Like I've always had to figure it out. So I kind of hung on to that as far as like how quickly I was able to rebound. But then when I really thought about it, it was like, and I communicated with you, no, I think it was just because like at the end of the day, like I knew you were going to help me do this. Like I had the confidence because you were going to help me be the wind in my sails, baby.
There's a both and there, right?
But to your point, it was just a different level of confidence. I've had confidence in the business, but just a completely different level of confidence with you alongside, which again is like what we're really trying to do full picture here.
And with that, I think like tying that back together is that one of the most like unique and I think beneficial parts of your business to your clients is that you are bringing to them like your own experiences and your own story and your own life, and
as I always have,
as you always have, like and even in this season of life, kind of the vision for Embodied and the male like add-on to that is again something clicked for you, like you just said, of I probably could have weathered this storm by myself because what's my other option? But then you kind of realize like, wait, I'm not even like necessarily weathering a storm. Like I'm walking alongside my best friend
with a new challenge
through this, and like hand in hand we're gonna figure it out. You know, hell or high water, till the wheels fall off. Like, we got this. So how can I bring that confidence to my clients, like past, present, and future? Of there are lots of women you've worked with who, whether it be just misery or eating disorders or discomfort or intimidation or not feeling comfortable in their own skin, fill in the blank, they've had no other option but to figure it out, so to speak, with or without support. And I think you would say from like testimonies, a lot of the times without support, you know, she's eating her own meal because her husband's not on board or doesn't understand, or they haven't been able to effectively communicate how they could do this together, or she hasn't been able to garner his support. for whatever reason, and there's conflict around going to the gym. It's tough with kid schedules. It's hard with friends, and explaining to people why you're, implementing these changes. But for lack of other options, they figured it out. And the thing that clicked was, wait, what if we could bring this to everyone that we work with, potentially? And what if that looked like getting buy-in from men as well? Not only as like a supportive role to their partner, but what if they also bought in to wanting to be the best version of themselves as well? What if they realize, like, if I really think about it and I look in the mirror, like, I don't like the way that I look. I don't like how clothes fit. I do probably have an unhealthy relationship with food. I know that I'm stressed to the max when it comes to work and bills and taking care of my family and leading and supporting and all the things that, kind of silently rest on a lot of men's shoulders. What if that looked like bringing these two people together even closer, and it creating even more intimacy and a closer bond and a place in the relationship that they didn't even know could exist, that goes well beyond health and fitness. So again, I think that what's being brought to the table now is birthed out of your own lived experience, where you've been through the trenches and you've experienced like a lot of triumph, but also a lot of hurt and a lot of struggle and a lot of pain and a lot of like failing forward, which is all admirable, but it lets you very like empathetically come to the table to the women that you're working with, and it lets me have a seat at that table next to you and across from the man in their life, and say like, hey, we're here to help you guys figure this out, and we're here to help you guys have the most beautiful version of life that you could ever imagine. And again, it goes well beyond like dumbbells and meal preps.
That's like a 5% of it.
Yeah, if that,
And finding confidence in both of those areas, male and female, individually, I think is what can also help the full household. Because a lot of times I do think it's lack of confidence in oneself, either side. So I think that's going to be like the fulfilling part for us. Like, holy shit. Like, this whole entire household. And again, that's leaking into their kids. Like, what they're seeing, what they're taking in, what they're learning, and
with their
regulated nervous systems when the household relationship is better, and mental health, and I mean, oh my gosh.
You're seeing less tension between mom and dad. You're seeing less arguing over
it's like a no-brainer.
Going to the gym, less little jabs, like small things that kids download and that imprint on their nervous system and that they perceive as regular because they don't have any other sense of normal other than what's going on in their home. So the impact that we see here is, potentially generational, and it just kind of knows no bounds, and the sky is the limit because it impacts everything about everything when it comes to our life. It comes down to how we view ourselves, how we view our partner, how we view our relationship together, how well we can show up for our kids, what kind of mental clarity we have in our careers, how we can show up for friends and in our community, and just kind of how we live and move and breathe in all ways of life. So it really is looking at individual as a whole person, not as this one part of who they are, and leaving everything else kind of out of the equation of it. Gosh, if I can get your macros right, but I like neglect your mental health, then
You
God, I failed
failed
you.
as a coach.
Yeah. And likewise, if I get some things corrected with your mental health, but completely negate your relationship with food, I've still failed you, because they're all interwoven and all interconnected, and one touches the other in ways that we don't even fully understand. But is it your lack of sleep affecting your anxiety, or is it your anxiety affecting your lack of sleep? Is it your self-image that leads to a poor relationship with food, or is it the poor relationship with food that leads to your negative self-image? And those are the kinds of conversations that we're going to be able to have with, again, the people running entire households and raising children and interacting in their community and making impacts at work. And the ripples of this just go on and on and on.
On and on.
So I guess with
Better ruin it.
With that's all been kind of like cloak and dagger a little bit of speaking in broad terms, but what can people expect to see from Embodied and Embodied for Men, and kind of what's coming down the line.
We're pumped. Anything else to say? Should we add anything else?
I can talk for days.
He's been talking for 5 hours.
Y'all can get sick of his voice. Until next time.
Until next time. Signing off.
Signing off.
I'm watching another
Stopped
record.
recording 17 minutes ago.